Hey YouTube, today I'm doing a video on Ralph Thorn knife throwing, but I'm basically going to be talking about like the different arm angles, alright? Being your underhand throw and your sidearm throw, and I'm also going to talk about other throws as well. The knives I'm using, Cold Steel Sure Balance, and then I have two 13-inch Boker Magnums, and Zeal 2 model by John Bailey. Okay, so now one of the part of Ralph Thorn's motto when it comes to combat knife throwing is you want to be able to throw the knife from any angle, okay? Anywhere from, over the top, here, 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 here. And as you get better, you want to be able to do it left-handed too. Alright. So now the first thing I'm going to talk about is the underhand throw. And for me, this was the hardest throw. I couldn't do it for several years, and finally, just up until recently, I started practicing with it a lot, and I got better at it. One of the things that helped me was I got out my foam target and my bow shuriken and practiced with that, because the foam target is very receptive of bad throws, so I could learn and pinpoint what I need to do better. Okay, the grip I'm using for these throws, in most of Ralph Thorn's diagrams, it's going to be something like that. But what I like to do is I like to put both of my index finger and my middle finger on what looks like the guard or hilt there. Alright, release it. Now the hard thing, in my opinion, for me about this throw is the release point, okay? The release point for underhand throwing, it's very hard to relate your overhand throw to your underhand throw. Alright, and in combat spear style knife throwing, the release is very important. So what I'm talking about first is the differences between the release on your close range throws and your farther back throws. So I'm here, alright, I'm going to whip the knife underhand, alright, and I'm going to want to release it about level with the target, okay? Now, the farther I get back, I'm going to get up to here, and I'm going to have to release it a little bit earlier. Alright, as here as opposed to up here. It's hard to catch that on camera, but it's just something you'll have to take my word for. This throw, in Ralph Thorn's book, it talks about it being it resembling an uppercut. Okay, so you're here, and you're going to curl your arm up. Okay, when you curl your arm up like this and keep your wrist locked, okay, you have the same wrist action, all right, as you do on your overhand throws. Okay, so you're here, overhand, underhand. Alright, now for me this throw is much more limited than your overhand throw. I can personally probably max out about maybe 16 feet. One thing you can do with this is use the basic same technique and back up much further, and you can get a one rotation underhand throw from up to, say, 30, even 40 feet. Alright, so for some final tips on this throw, what I like to do is I like rear back, and it helps me push my chest out. Okay, and just sort of rock my weight over to this left foot, sort of like if you're bowling. Alright. Alright, now I'm talking about the sidearm throw. Sidearm throw is fairly easy. Alright, if you've done the overhand throw before, you simply start adding your arm angle back here. Now, one thing that can throw you off is the release point. So when you're here, throwing Thorn style, depending on where your target is, how far away from it is, your release point's usually going to be somewhere about here, so we start to release the knife, okay? It's about almost over your head, or in line with your head. It's the same way with sidearm throw. So I'm here, the knife can release right above my head. Same thing here. Alright, it's in line with my head. That last throw obviously wasn't very sidearmish, but it was kind of a high up target, so I had to improvise a little bit. All right, now in your range for the sidearm throw, it's going to be very similar to your overhand range, maybe a little bit closer. Just experiment with it. It might be natural for you. You might be able to get a longer range out of it, maybe not. All right, a few more things about the sidearm throw. Guys that train to throw knives in a combat scenario like this throw, because it comes at a very convenient angle. All right, so if you're here, all right, it's slower to bring your knife all the way up here and throw overhand than it is to bring it up to here and throw sidearm. See what I'm saying? Okay, so you got the sidearm down. Now you want to start almost like the uppercut throw. Okay, it's sort of like, okay, if this was your hook and the underhand throw was your uppercut, this would probably be like a shuffle punch. Okay, so we know the three broad categories of no-spin spear-style throwing. It's going to be your overhand throw, your sidearm, and your uppercut. Now, there are other angles to do it at. These aren't so much as accurate or powerful as any of the other throws, but practicing them will teach you good wrist action, okay, and accuracy. Alright, that's a throw I don't have a whole lot of advice on. It's something you're going to have to practice with. But you got to remember the fundamental wrist action of the spear style technique, because you can't use a stiff arm action. Like if I'm here, I could use none of the wrist flick to still stick the knife. But when you're throwing this way, it requires you to have that wrist action to slow down the spin. One thing I will mention before I go on is that for me personally, when I throw spear style or thorn style, I tend to rely more on the loose arm action or a stiff elbow angle than most guys do. Okay, I have an angle here, and that angle stays pretty much the same through my whole throw. Alright, a lot of other guys, they rely more on the wrist action. It's a personal thing. So stuff like this teaches me to rely more on my wrist than I do my loose arm. Alright, now I'm talking about backhand throws. The reason you usually don't see Ralph Thorn doing backhand throws is because he believes that in a combat scenario, if you're here, alright, at least your chest open. So I'm here, throw it, I'm wide open. So, but if you don't have any interest in throwing for combat scenarios, then there's really nothing wrong with the throw. It's obviously limited to, the range is fairly limited, just because it's kind of hard. Because when you're here, it's hard to flick your wrist like you like to. You can do it, but it puts a lot of strain on your tricep. Alright, here's how to do an over-the-shoulder throw. Now, this is a very hard angle to throw at. You do have more arm action on this one than you would behind your back throw. But you're still going to have to rely heavily on your wrist action to slow the spin down. Alright, so what I like to do is I like to start out with my feet almost in a parallel line to the targets. But I step my left foot back a little bit, okay, so I can lean back. Alright, sometimes I do that mid-throw, sometimes I don't. We take a small step back, come over here. Now you're going to have to cock your wrist back when you get here. It's going to be almost like a pushing motion. All right. Sometimes it turns into an over-the-shoulder thing. Sometimes it turns into a cross-body throw. And even sort of like almost an underhand throw. Okay, so now I'm going to talk briefly about ambidextrous throwing. Part of Ralph Lauren's motto is to be able to throw the knife at any angle. So I've shown you how to throw the angle overhand. Overhand's pretty simple. You just move it over a little bit. Sidearm, and you have your shovel throw and your underarm throw. Now that takes care of the angles on this side, but what about on this side? Well, preferably you'd want to be able to throw fluently, or at least at close range, with your left hand. And that can be kind of difficult. I did a video on ambidextrous knife throwing. That may or may not help, but you can check it out and you might learn something. So if you're throwing left-handed, just start out close and work your way back. I'm nowhere near as fluently throwing with my left hand as I am with my right, but I can do it. Alright, hopefully this video helped you learn how to throw from different angles with Thorn spear style throwing. The cool thing about this is when you learn these different angles, it makes for more fun and enjoyable practice, and you know, smoother transitions between your combination throws and whatnot. Well, I hope this video is helpful. Thanks for watching.